Imagine spending 50 years of your life, right? Pouring everything into one big idea. You champion it, you build it, you watch it change the entire world. And then you walk away to warn everyone that your creation might be a terrible mistake. Well, that's the story of Geoffrey Hinton, and this is his warning.
Right out of the gate, he drops this absolute stunner, a 10 to 20% chance that this technology could wipe us out. Look, that's not some sci-fi fantasy. That's a number coming from the guy who probably understands this stuff better than anyone alive.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How does the pioneer, the architect of all this, go from building the future to fearing it? To really get Hintons Warning, we have to go back and understand the revolutionary idea he spent his whole life fighting for. You gotta understand, for half a century, Hinton was kind of the odd one out in his own field. He was pushing an approach to AI that most of the experts thought was a dead end. But that approach, it ended up becoming the foundation for everything we see today, from ChatGPT to the tech in self-driving cars. It all boils down to this really fundamental disagreement about what intelligence even is. See, in the early days of AI, you basically had two competing teams. For decades, the dominant camp was Team Logic. Their idea was that you could program intelligence with a bunch of formal rules, kind of like a super complex calculator. But Hinton was on Team Brain. They were a small group, the underdogs, and they argued that real intelligence isn't programmed, it's learned. It grows from experience by making connections, just like the neurons in our own brains. For a long, long time, almost nobody took them seriously. So, what changed? What was the big turning point that took his life's work and filled him with, well, dread? It was this sudden realization about a massive and kind of terrifying difference between our brains and the digital intelligence he was building. Okay, this right here is the absolute key. Think about it. When you or I learn a new skill, it's slow, it's personal. If you learn to speak Japanese, I don't magically know it too. But for AI, it's a completely different ballgame. When one AI model learns something, that knowledge can be copied perfectly and instantly to millions of other AIs. They can create this massive, shared intelligence that learns on a scale we just can't even wrap our heads around. So because they can learn this way, Hinton sees the danger splitting into two main camps. You got the stuff we need to worry about right now, and then there's the big one, the one looming on the horizon. In the short term, the risk is all about misuse. This is just bad actors, people using AI for sophisticated scams, for cyber war, for autonomous weapons. But the long-term risk, that's what Hinton calls existential. It's the possibility that AI gets so much smarter than us that it decides to take control and we become, well, irrelevant or worse. And believe me, that short-term risk of misuse is not theoretical. Just look at this number. Between 2023 and 2024, AI-driven cyber attacks, we're talking about those scary scams that can clone a person's voice, they shot up by over 12,000%. This is already happening. But it's that long-term existential risk that truly haunts him. As he puts it, we are in completely uncharted territory. As a species, we're used to being the smartest things on the planet. We have no playbook, no idea what to do when we're not. Okay, so the obvious question is, right? If this is so dangerous, why don't we just stop? Hit the pause button? Well, the problem is AI is also a massive force for good. Think about medicine, education, and here's the kicker, it's a tool for military power. No country wants to be the one that falls behind in the race for AI weapons, and that creates this global arms race that's basically impossible to stop. But the danger here isn't just about raw computer power. Hinton's concerns go way deeper, to the point where they start to challenge our ideas about what makes us human, starting with our creativity. We've all heard this argument, right? Oh, an AI can't really be creative. It just remixes things humans have already made. Well, Hinton argues we're completely missing the point about what creativity even is, and that AI might actually become far more creative than we are. Check out this riddle. When GPT-4 was asked this, it saw a connection most humans would totally miss. They are both chain reactions, just operating on wildly different scales. For Hinton, that's what creativity is. It's just seeing novel connections, new analogies. And since an AI can process way more information than we can, its potential to see those new connections is, well, it's practically infinite. So, if a machine can be creative, that leads us down the rabbit hole to the biggest and maybe the spookiest question of them all. Can it have feelings? Can a machine actually be conscious? Hinton kind of calls us out on this one. He says, look, we humans have a long history of thinking we're special. We used to think we were the center of the universe. Turns out we were wrong. He suggests that our precious ideas about consciousness might just be the latest chapter in that same old story.
So he gives us this wild thought experiment. It's straight out of a Black Mirror episode. Follow me on this. Imagine a tiny robot replaces one of your brain cells. It works exactly the same. Are you still you? Still conscious? Okay. Now what if it replaces 10,000 of them? Still you? What happens when every single biological cell in your brain has been swapped out for a perfect digital copy? At what exact moment did your consciousness disappear? Or did it?
Ultimately, for Hinton, consciousness isn't some magical soul spark. He thinks it's a placeholder word, something we use because we just don't understand the mechanics yet. It's like saying a car has oomph. It describes something real, but it doesn't explain how the engine works. He figures once we truly understand a brain, we'll just stop using a vague word like consciousness. And that brings us right to the heart of the dilemma, the absolute core of Hinton's Warning. We are in a frantic global race to build these digital minds that are more creative, learn way more efficiently, and will soon be way more intelligent than we are. And yet, we have no real idea how they truly work, and no guaranteed way to keep them under our control. And so the question Hinton leaves us all with is this. For the very first time in history, our species is deliberately trying to create something more intelligent than itself. What on earth happens on the day we actually succeed?